Hello, everybody, and welcome to the monthly, last Saturday of the month, Doctor and Science Call. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guten Tag, Huchandit, all the languages, buenos dias. A lot of people from, all over the country, maybe even the world. We want to welcome you to this call. It's where we dig a little deeper. We want to help you understand about all things related to the patches and what exactly they do, how they help your health. And we do some digging so that we can present things in an understandable way that everybody can understand. And it's truly our hope today that we accomplish that. We don't want to baffle anybody with a bunch of scientific words. We want to make it simple so you can have an easy way of explaining these when people want to know how they work. So we're going to first introduce my friend Savy Vargas. He and I have been friends for a long time. He actually is the one who told me about LifeWave and these patches. I'm going to let him introduce himself. So Savy will give us some of the details about glutathione and what it does. And if you want to text or call your friends and let them know what's going on, not only with Savy and his introduction and explanation of glutathione, but then I'm going to dig into all the details about glutathione as it relates to eye health and how your structures in your eye can form a protective shield to protect your retina from sunlight and other oxidative stress. So Savy, take it away. You have the floor and give us some good info about glutathione.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Harmon. It's been a couple of months since we've done this, right?
It has been.
It's been a minute since we've done this, but I tell you, my favorite thing is the science and figuring out how to make ourselves healthier and healthier. What's more important than your health? Basically nothing. And it's my passion. I love to research. I love the science. So we're going to dig into it. I'm going to share screen. Pop this open and get into the slideshow. Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Actually, first, let me go ahead and read this medical disclaimer just to be careful, okay? This information and the products discussed here are not meant to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. If you are pregnant, nursing, taking medication, or have a medical condition, please consult your physician first. Okay, so let's get that out of the way because you never know, right? All right, so the power of glutathione, the key word here being power. So you're going to learn today that glutathione is by far the most powerful antioxidant in the human body. And the human body makes it, but it makes it from these 3 amino acids. This is a tripeptide, not unlike GHK, a tripeptide. In this configuration, and these 3, glutamate, cysteine, and glycine, this is how you get glutathione. So this week, in preparing to do this, I talked to a lot of people and asked them if they knew what glutathione was. And virtually nobody had ever even heard of glutathione. So you can see that there is an opportunity for us as we learn about glutathione and our patch, that there's a real opportunity here to help a lot of people. Okay, let's see. Let me, it's not moving forward. Hold on a second, I got to stop. I'm freezing up. All right, let's try it again. Okay. Share screen. Okay, good. Sorry about that. Okay, so glutathione is the king of antioxidants, the superhero. It is the master antioxidant. So with antioxidants, what we're doing is we are quenching oxidation. So oxidation is basically like rusting. And we always use the apple analogy because it's one of the best at seeing how oxygen will oxidize a particular entity. So in the human body, we too oxidize. It's just a normal part of life. So we have antioxidants to neutralize this event happening in our body. And so in the body, endogenously self-made, we have glutathione, but we have superoxide dismutase, and we also have catalase. So those are the three main ones, glutathione being the king of the three. Now, there have been people that do experiments and they take the apple, they slice it like that, and then they take, say, lemon juice, which is vitamin C, an antioxidant, and they sprinkle that on the apple, and it actually prevents this from happening. So antioxidants like anti-aging, which is the world that we live in. Oh my God, what is going on here? All right. All right, I'm just going to do it like this. Okay. Can you see that, Dr. Harmon?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I don't know what's going on with the other thing. I'm just going to do it this way. Okay, so I got this from Dr. Frank Schellenberger, who is kind of the great-grandfather of anti-aging. Okay, he's out in Nevada, and he's got a clinic down there. And I got this graph from him. It's extremely interesting to me, and that you see all of these different problems that occur when you have low glutathione. Okay, and as we go through this, you'll know that over the last couple of years, we have testimonials on just about every one of these problems. So you can see what we've done here with our podcasting and our testimonials is a big deal, because in the world of allopathic medicine, they give everything a name and a label. But in truth, it's just really all super low glutathione. I mean, there are other things too, but mainly this is just low glutathione. I mean, as we go through this, you see the neurological problems, which are a really big deal, as in the Parkinson's and the ALS, et cetera, MS, depression, and all that. And then we go into the C word, cancers. And as you scroll down in that box, you see.
Savvy?
Yeah.
Could you try enlarging that again and see if it works? It's difficult to see on the screen.
Okay, well, you've seen what happened to me twice already. Let me see if I can just enlarge it like this. So you can't see all these.
Well, the font's real small. It's hard to see on the screen.
Well, I'll just read some of them out, because
Okay.
the one that's really affecting everybody right now is viral infections. And so in that middle box, viral infections is listed in there. And so low glutathione. So if you were worried about, COVID, one of the strategies would be just to boost that glutathione. And as we go through the presentation, you'll see that our patch boosted by 300%. That is a lot. That is the most I've ever heard of. As we go on over here, we're going to get into eyesight issues with Dr. Harmon. And one of them here listed is macular degeneration. Okay. And then when you got the cardiovascular problems and you got the endocrine system. But these are all labels, like MS, gingivitis, there's a dental industry there, arthritis, chronic fatigue, etc. These are labels that the allopathic industry gives everything. But low glutathione is behind all of these. So imagine the industries out there that we can work with. There's really not any industry that we can't work with our patches. In this case, it's glutathione, but there's really no industry that we can't work with. Okay. So we talked about glutathione is made of 3 amino acids. That's a tripeptide, like GHK. So when you hear David Schmidt talk, he talks a lot about diet. The foundation is always going to be your diet and lots of water. He talks about that every time. And so when we get into peptides, there's about, in the world of amino acids, there's 20 to 22 amino acids. And those amino acids, the body can build just tens of thousands of proteins from those amino acids. In this case, with glutathione, the body can make the 3 amino acids that it needs. In the case of, say, GHK, 2 of those are essential, meaning the body cannot make them. So it's important that your diet is dialed in. So in the world of light frequency patches, we want to make sure that we're getting our mineral supplementation from plants, because GHK bonds with copper. So we want to make sure we're getting plenty of our minerals. And in the case of GHK, with those 2 aminos are essential, it might be a good idea if you even add an amino acid supplement to your diet. Dr. Frank Schellenberger, I mentioned, he's got perfect aminos. Ben Greenfield out there, who works with, he's basically a biohacker. Ben Greenfield has Keon aminos. And then if you happen to be a vegan or a vegetarian, Lou Corona with Puridyme has one called Life Essentials. And you can just add those to your smoothies to make sure you're getting all the aminos and all the minerals to make sure you can build your glutathione, okay? And so then when we get into the world, again, of allopathic labels, and they start talking about colitis and arthritis and psoriasis, and anything with an itis is basically just inflammation, right? That's all that is inflammation. And they use the words, hey, listen, you've got colitis. And you're like, oh my God, how much longer do I have to live? And they say, oh no, that's just inflammation of the colon. And you're like, okay, well, everything is rooted in inflammation and oxidative stress. So basically your house is on fire. You're on fire. And the goal here is to put that fire out. Well, antioxidants are a secret weapon to do that. Glutathione being the king. And so when we go into this toxicity storm, you're like, well, where are all these toxins coming from? Well, they are literally everywhere. I just finished a study by Rachel Carson all the way back to 1965 called Silent Spring. And the quote in that book that I always remember is that even then we were swimming in a sea of chemicals. Much worse these days. So when we get into diet these days, you've got glyphosate is like everywhere. And that's basically Roundup. And it goes in and it destroys your gut. Gluten is a problem also with the gut lining. The pesticides, the herbicides, they're endocrine disruptors. They basically turn into what they call xenoestrogens. You've got GMO foods, food additives, all the prescription drugs, Tylenol, which is over the counter, per Dr. Bergman, is the #1 damaging drug to the liver. And it's legal. You don't need a prescription for that one. And then environmentally, it's everywhere. The plastics are endocrine disruptors. The heavy metals are a big problem, right? You've got the dental industry for years putting mercury in people's teeth. They probably are still even doing that. The EMF radiation is now a problem, including the 5G, where it basically can go in and like boil the water in your body. So, you know, I mean, we're swimming in it, right? And then if you go into the tap water, and I saw this expression, tap is crap, and it's, you know, it's a good way to think about it, because in the tap water, it's really undrinkable. So in my opinion, you really need to think about filters. You want to put filters on your shower. You want to put filters, HEPA filters in your rooms to keep the air clean. There's a lot of toxicity that come out of new homes from the carpets and the furniture and the paint and the flooring, etc. So our work is cut out, right? So we want more going out than coming in. And you're going to see that by filtering your life with these filters and adding something like glutathione to take the garbage out, you really cannot rebuild or regenerate tissue if your body is a big garbage dump. You really need to clean house to be super effective when we use, say, for example, X39. So best defense is a great offense on that. And then when we go into the toxins in tap water, it's undrinkable. Chlorine, heavy metals, radioactive substances, all the pharmaceutical drugs people pour down the drain, dioxins, it's undrinkable. So in our house here, I invested, it was like $600-700, and I got a reverse osmosis system put in with 5 filters in there. And then on top of that, you can get a vortex and spin the water to super oxygenate it. And, you know, you're not drinking all of this crap. In fact, fluoride has never really been proven to prevent tooth decay. In fact, the first group of people that used fluoride were the Nazis. And so, you know, the fluoride is actually, you need to look into that. That's not something you want to be drinking. Now, when we go into glutathione benefits, if we just get into some bullets here, glutathione is so important that 6% of all of your energy is used just to make glutathione. Glutathione is the #1 protector of mitochondria DNA. So we have our DNA, and then the mitochondria have their own DNA. And so the glutathione is the #1 protector of that. And that is how we get our energy. Body cannot make white blood cells, which are the foot soldiers of our immune system, without it. No white blood cells, no immune system. It repairs our telomeres. So we know there's plenty of studies out there that state that the longer you keep those telomeres, the longer you live. Phase 1, phase 2 of liver detox cannot happen without glutathione. And so you think about the pressure our liver is under. It has to filter all the toxicity that's coming into our bodies, and it has to clean itself as well. So if you can't get the garbage out, then the sewer is going to back up into your kitchen, and we can't have that. So we want to pull the plug on all that dirty water in the drain, and glutathione helps our liver out a lot on phase 1 and phase 2. Glutathione recycles the other vitamins, vitamin C, vitamin E, etc. Glutathione can give them another life, right? So glutathione not only is the king antioxidant, but it supports the other antioxidants as well. Now, this last little bullet on H2O2, which is hydrogen peroxide, I found it interesting as I did a study by Dr. Ben Lynch called Dirty Genes, talking about genetic SNPs. And in that study, he stated here, I'm going to read it to you. He stated, the more stress you're under, the more hydrogen peroxide your body makes. That excess hydrogen peroxide will bleach you internally and turn your hair gray. Then it can go up and damage your brain. Glutathione, when the levels are up, turns excess hydrogen peroxide into water. So when you see people that have a massive stressful event and their hair turns gray, you know that they just used up all of their glutathione reserves. And the hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, got too high and internally bleached them and grayed their hair. So glutathione with our patch is a 300% increase. That is so high that it's unbelievable. There's nothing in the industry even close to that. So again, the longer your telomeres, the longer your lifespan. Glutathione repairs telomeres, chelates out the heavy metals, especially in the brain. And as you're doing that with a 300% increase, you need to be careful because you're going to have your blood, which is the river of life, just became the river of garbage. And so now you're going to want to make sure that you use binders, because if you have all these heavy metals and plastics and pesticides and herbicides flushed out, you want to use binders to catch them and safely get them out of the body so they don't get redistributed. It's the street sweeper analogy that you don't want to kick these toxins all up all over the place and they land in different areas of your body. You want to grab them and get them out safely. So Dr. Pompa, I recommend his product Bind. Dr. Group's Supercharged C60, which is a charcoal product, only it's supercharged C60, meaning that charcoal typically can pick up something crazy like 2,000 times its weight, but C60 is 20 times more powerful. So you're looking at like 20,000 times its weight and grabbing toxins and getting it out. I have some here at my house right now. When we talk about heavy metals, mercury, lead, cadmium, aluminum, these things go in and screw up your nervous system, okay? Your nervous system, your electrical company, that has to fire correctly, right? And these metals mess with your nervous system very, very badly. Glutathione gets them out. Dr. Thomas Cowan, I learned from him that aluminum, and just as a side note, this particular study was actually on vaccines. It looks like pretty much every single vaccine has aluminum in it. Well, aluminum, per Dr. Cowan, can hitch a ride on white blood cells and land on areas of inflammation, get deposited there. And so it can accumulate in different areas of your body, but it's particularly fond of the brain. And so there's a lot of studies out there that talk about aluminum leading to things like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, etc. So glutathione, big time with binders to get that out. So just a little bit of food for thought. The body, 70 to 100 trillion cells, on top of environmental toxicity and all the other things we're dealing with. The body itself, just in running the engine of the body, produces a lot of acidic waste too. And on the pH scale, that waste can be hot, like a 3, when 7 is neutral. So the body itself creates a lot of what's called ROS, reactive oxygen species, and that's just living life. And so when we consume antioxidants, for example, like vitamin C, if you go and have a vitamin C drip of say 100,000 milligrams right into the arm, vitamin C, vitamin E, and these other antioxidants that we eat or we take in are on a 1-to-1 ratio for free radicals. So 100,000 milligrams of vitamin C will neutralize, say, 100,000 free radicals. But we have 70 to 100 trillion cells. So when you get into glutathione, glutathione can put out the fire to the tune of 1 million free radicals per second all day. So it's the equivalent of a house on fire and you're throwing cups of water with vitamin C, keeping in mind vitamin C does a lot of other great things. I'm just saying in terms of free radicals, throwing cups of water on the fire or the whole fire department with glutathione. So you can see how amazing that is. Glutathione in the body is so amazing that even in its used up state, the body still uses it in producing delta wave sleep, deep, deep sleep, even in its used up state. So as a reminder, things that deplete glutathione, stress, refined sugars, all the cookies, candies, pastries, that type of refined sugar depletes glutathione. Prescribed medications, of which here in America, the average American's on 3 to 5, all the way up to 9 and 10 prescriptions, keeping in mind that nobody's ever done a 30-year trial of 7 prescription medications in the human body all together, mixed all together with all these other toxins for 30 years. Nobody knows the ramifications of that. It's horrible. Mercury, just real quick, mercury, as far as glutathione goes, if people have mercury in their teeth a lot, 1 molecule of mercury will deplete 2 molecules of glutathione. So if you've got mercury in your teeth, it's worth looking into finding a biological dentist and getting those out. Okay. Now, Lyme's disease, rheumatoid arthritis, mold toxicity, these things deplete glutathione very, very quickly. But our patch raises it by 300%. Now, what helps glutathione now? Well, you'll learn that the antioxidants work together like a symphony, like minerals. Minerals work better together. B vitamins work better together. They work together as a team. Well, the other antioxidants, vitamin C, vitamin E, all the flavonoids and cofactors found in fruits and vegetables, CoQ10, plant-based iron, these things help to also replenish glutathione, especially the trace mineral selenium, and number 1, alpha lipoic acid really, really helps regenerate glutathione. I recommend Live On Labs for their lithospheric-based alpha lipoic acid. Okay, we're almost done. So every person with a disease-related issue is depleted in glutathione. Dr. Frank Schallenberger, again, highlighted that to me, that everybody that's dealing with any type of chronic autoimmune / horrible disease is depleted in glutathione. And like everything else, one thing leads to another. So really, if we think about it, there's really only one disease. You've got low nutrients here and high toxicity here. And if you flip those, pretty much everything goes away. The problem with trying to take glutathione orally is always going to be the acid in the stomach. The pH is like 2.5. It destroys it there. And trying to get it absorbed through the GI tract is another problem because everybody's got a messed up gut these days. So, at best, taking it orally, you're getting 10 or 20%. It's pathetic. It's hardly even worth it. In fact, I just saw a study that talked about the precursors to make glutathione, like the amino acid cysteine, is actually more effective. Taking cysteine is more effective than trying to take glutathione. With the patch, we don't have to worry about absorption rates, the stomach, the GI tract. We bypass all of that with light. In fact, at 300%, this is probably a patch that you don't want to wear every day. So it's like maybe you go 3-4 days a week max because of the percentage. It's so high at 300%. So to conclude this part of mine, don't ask your straight up medical doctor about nutritional things. This is basically the look you're going to get. They don't hardly get any training in nutrition. We have to work with our doctors. We have a lot of doctors on our team. We need to work with our type of doctors, like a Dr. Harmon, because medical bills are the #1 cause of bankruptcy in the United States. So the plan is prevention. We want to clean house. We want more going out than coming in. We want to protect ourselves. And if you don't want to see GMO foods in the stores, don't buy them. Start voting with your dollar. Don't buy their stuff, put them out of business, and then the price of organic foods will start to come down. Okay, so we want to, as it says here, knowledge up, doctor yourself, and remember that glutathione is the master antioxidant. Make sure you're using it in your own life and make sure you're sharing it with everybody that you know. Okay, so I'm going to turn over to Dr. Harmon. So he's going to get specific with glutathione and eye tissue.
Yes, I am. And I'm excited to bring this information to you today. Eye health is a very important thing to pay attention to. That's for sure. And so I hope that you get a really good concept of this. Savy, thank you for that foundational stuff about glutathione. There's a little bit of overlap in my presentation, but it's always good to review a little bit. So I'm going to do a little screen share here as well. Get rid of this. And as you know, we're talking about glutathione, and we're want to make sure that everybody gets a good understanding about it. Going into eye health, but I want to do, for those of you who don't know me, maybe this is your first time here, and that's why a little bit later in my presentation, I'll be going over how the patches work and what the heck they are. But I want to do just a little bit of introduction for those of you who don't know me. I'm Dr. Jon Harmon. I've been a chiropractor for 32 years. I'm board certified in QEEG and neurofeedback. QEEG stands for quantitative electroencephalogram. That's a measurement of electrical activity in the brain. Understanding what it means and understanding how to change it. So that's what we do at my place. Father of 8 kids, grandfather of 24. It gets a little crazy sometime, but love them so much. Excuse me. Founder and owner of Clear Mind Center of Idaho, located in Meridian, Idaho. It's where we help people get their brains right. Here's my contact information. If you have any questions, I try to answer everybody's emails. It might not happen right away, but I'll get to you. It's drjharmon@gmail.com. I really think in order to understand what drives someone, it's very helpful to know where they've been and how I even got to be, as a chiropractor, to go into all of this brain stuff. In 2010, I had been in practice for 20 years, and we had some pretty severe family trauma. March 11th, 2010, my 18-year-old niece committed suicide. March 10th, 2011, it was almost exactly a year later, my oldest daughter's husband was murdered, and then my sister died, and then my younger daughters were a mess. Anxiety and depression, insomnia. And I went on a quest to find how I could help their brains initially, but that turned into the founding of a place where we help people with similar problems. My thoughts were, no family should have to go through what my family went through. And now we change lives in that way. It's a little bit different than chiropractic, but it sure is rewarding to see so many kids nowadays come in and they have such terrible anxiety. It's really tragic what's happening in the world right now, but it's really rewarding to have some answers for them and tell them that it's not a life sentence. The Discovery Channel did 2 episodes on American Monster, if anybody's interested to find out what happened to my daughter and her husband. The first one is 3 pops and a pause. The second one is What the Heart Wants, if anyone is interested in that. All right. We are talking about glutathione, but specifically about the fact that it becomes an eye protective shield for our vision. Let's talk about the chemistry a little bit. Savy had a little diagram. I want to show you this. Here's the structure of it. Like he said, it's 3 amino acids, but I want to point out this kind of orangish S. That is sulfur. This is what gives it its characteristic sewer-ish smell. It's the sulfur in it, or that's what it looks like. So I want to go over where can we get glutathione, whole glutathione in our diet, and where can we get things that are needed, the sulfur-based foods, to actually support glutathione production, which becomes very important if you're increasing your glutathione production by wearing this patch that I'll be talking about. You want to know where those sources are, where you can get the raw materials to do so. So foods that have glutathione in them. First of all, spinach is really good. Throw a little of that in your eggs, your scrambled eggs, put it on your sandwich, throw it in your smoothie. Avocados, eat 1 a day. Asparagus baked with Parmesan is what we like. Yum. That's good stuff. Okra, you either love it or you hate it, but it's got a lot of glutathione in it. Get your okra, you get your glutathione. Consuming sulfur-rich foods can help your body make more glutathione. And here are some of those. Sulfur-rich foods. The allium veggies, garlic, leeks, onions. And men, I think as part of our duty, this is some relationship advice. I think it's our duty to make our partner laugh at some point during the day. It's one of my goals. I'm gonna make Carla laugh somehow. So yesterday we were at the, it's called the Co-op. It's all organic foods and all that stuff. And this is how you make your wife laugh. Either that or she's gonna roll her eyes. So when you're buying leeks, you pick one up and you hand it to her and say, honey, do you want to take a leak? Bada boom. So there you go. I gave you a way to make your wife laugh. Laughter. Okay, cruciferous vegetables. And I put organic. This applies to everything. Get organic vegetables. They don't have as much glyphosate on them. You're going to get it everywhere, and everything you eat, maybe 5%. You get at least about a 95% decrease getting organic. Turkey, beef, eggs, all organic, grass-fed. Here's why it's important to get grass-fed. If it's not grass-fed, what is it fed? It's fed corn, grain, and those are GMO. And so you're getting glyphosate, and you get the biotoxin that is produced, that GMO foods produce as their own pesticide. You get that in that food. And then you got to use more glutathione to detox yourself. Sow your wild oats, get some wild oats to eat them. These are all rich in sulfur to support the production of glutathione. As Savy said, it's the master antioxidant. It neutralizes numerous free radicals. It's critical to the recycling and proper utilization of other antioxidants like vitamin C and E. So I want you to imagine glutathione is the ship. It has glutathione. It's the ship of electrons, and it goes out and it can recharge vitamin C or vitamin E because that's their job too. They are antioxidants. I'm going to explain this pathway in a minute. So the process of an antioxidant is they are electron donors. Glutathione actually has the ability to recharge your vitamin C and vitamin E. Otherwise, it's a one and done. I'm out of here. If I don't have enough glutathione, I can only do it once. So glutathione recharges those so you can use them over and over and over again. The liver is primarily where it's, where the reservoir of glutathione, but every cell makes glutathione. Glutathione is essential for detoxifying harmful compounds. How important is glutathione? And I want you to hear this. Remember this if you remember nothing else from this presentation. The level of glutathione in your cells is directly related to your lifespan. Soak that in. David Schmidt says this in his presentations. The level of it in, I'm going to say it again. The level of it in your cells is directly related to your lifespan. That's how important it is. Dr. Charles Scott. There is an epidemic deficiency of glutathione in patients today. In fact, glutathione deficiency is found in almost all chronically ill patients. Numerous functions in the body benefit from adequate cellular glutathione, including the immune system. Now, our immune system doesn't collapse, which leads to chronic disease until it cannot handle what it's being presented with. How does that happen? Well, when I can't keep up with the oxidative stress that's going on, bacterial, viral, fungal, parasitic, environmental toxins. There are 88,000 chemicals that have been invented that are out in our environment that are floating around. They have found many of them in umbilical cord blood. Many of them were banned 40 years ago. They're out there. And so you have to have this protective shield to help you keep your oxidative stress down so that your immune function can do its job. It's when it gets overwhelmed, things go south, systemically. And now you have a chronic disease. Well, what do you have? Go to the doctor. Well, I don't know. You got a chronic, some kind of itis. It's an arthritis. It's a gastritis. It's this. It's a this. What caused it? Well, we don't know, but here's an anti-inflammatory to get rid of the inflammation. My family and I and my loved ones choose to take care of things in advance. And truly, this is what these patches do. We don't cure, prevent, diagnose, treat any disease. We just help the body take care of business the best it can, because we're all exposed to those things, and then they start to affect our health, our immune system, our brain. That's the second one up here, cognitive health. One of the goals that I have in my life is to remember who I am when I'm old and not be meeting a new person every 15 minutes in my house who happens to be my spouse. Pulmonary health, cardiovascular health. Now we're going to focus in on ocular health right here. So this is a little diagram that will help you understand this process of redox, this oxidation and reduction. Don't get confused by that. I want to keep it really simple. Look over on the left. We have ultraviolet rays. We have atmospheric pollution. We have stress. We have poor diet. I'm going to say one word about poor diet. See this hamburger, the Coke, and the fries? If you're eating out of a box or a bag, processed food, and keep this in mind as I'm talking about glutathione and oxidation, you are eating electron stealers. They are processed foods, and when you eat them, they steal electrons, and you need even more glutathione to put them back. If you're eating fresh foods, they are electron donors. So keep that in mind when you eat. So what they do, and you see oxygen right here. At oxygen we need in our lungs and out, we have to take it out into our cells, but oxygen is harmful to certain tissues and organs, and iron, that's what causes oxidation or rust. As Savy said in his presentation, it's slow, everything is slowly rusting chemically because of the electron steal that can happen. So we have this right here, and then we see up here we have things that happen in our we have free radical formation, and what happens is you get a damaged cellular membrane. Think of this everywhere. What are our membranes made of? They're made of molecules. And what are our molecules made of? They're made of atoms. What are atoms made of? Well, electrons, protons, and neutrons. Somewhere somebody's losing some electrons in that wall, and so we have to replace those. All right, see if I can get this to it. There we go. And here it is in a different way. I like to give things in a diagram form. So free radical, this is one atom. You got the nucleus right here. You have these electrons in these, we call them shells in the atom, but you have an unpaired electron. This is unstable. This has been oxidized. Something stole an electron. It was probably that Big Mac that you ate, and it stole an electron from this atom. Well, then you have to have this, the antioxidant donates, it has the capacity and ability, without being unstable, it has the ability to donate an electron to basically heal or fix whatever it is where that was located. And see if I'll get, seems mine's kind of freezing up again, or as well. Here it is. Don't get too confused. You got oxidation, you got reduction. Oh, I got to go back. All right, oxidation. This is what I want to focus on, the bottom one. Loss of electrons. Reduction is gain of electrons. An oxidant is something that oxidizes another chemical by taking electrons. Just focus on this. It's too confusing to do more than that. Okay, so here's a little diagram. On the left, you have a healthy cell, you have normal glutathione level, you're able to take care of business, you're able to neutralize and repair where there's oxidative stress. Glutathione depletion leads to free radical damage because you can't put those electrons back as fast. Now you have oxidative stress, and now you have death. You have compromised cellular function. And the damage can't be repaired, and then it leads to cell death and organ death. And this is what is linked to serious health problems. And I don't know what's going on today, but there we go. So here's another diagram. Cellular and tissue health goes up. You got adequate glutathione. As that goes down, you get depletion of glutathione levels and organ failure. Ways to increase levels of glutathione. From the diet, remember we talked about foods that have glutathione in them. Eating sulfur-rich foods, and you have to be able to convert or make glutathione. And I want you to, these first three are all dependent upon what? A healthy gut. What is one of the #1 problems that people have? Gut issues, leaky gut, poor digestion, poor absorption. It makes expensive urine or fecal material if you can't absorb it. And if you're getting it from your diet, you got foods that have the diet glutathione in them, or foods that can help you make glutathione, or supplement. A very low amount of the supplement is absorbed, and I'll talk about that in a sec. Or what we think is a far greater option for increasing our glutathione level is the glutathione patch. And now we're going to talk about that a little bit. This is actually a snippet screenshot that I took from a very well-known company that I used to use in my practice because they have nanoparticleized sublingual sprays, and their glutathione called ACG glutathione. And here they are on their website. You see right here bragging about how their ACG glutathione increases glutathione by 10% in 7 hours. So let's compare that. Over on the left, there's the glutathione supplement. Over on the right, there's the LifeWave glutathione patch. Folks, it increases your glutathione level on average 300% within 24 hours. And yes, David Schmidt has said wear the glutathione patch 4 to 5 days a week is ample. You don't need to wear it every day. If you have, a surgery, or you got some really chronic disease, I've worn it 7 days. That's what I've done before. So here is where we're going to get into the details about eye health. This guy says, I need glutathione. The eye needs glutathione. So let's take a look at the needs in the eye and the structure of the eye itself so you can understand that. This, I didn't want to show everything else, so I magnified this, but I want to point out some things here. Oops, I accidentally advanced it. All right, so we have the cornea out front. We have the lens right here. We have, the cornea here. And then we have the other structures and the lens. And then way back here, we have the retina. And this is the fovea centralis. That's where you focus on things. All of these structures out here are designed to protect your retina because UV light is very harmful to the retina. So you're going to understand this in just a second, how that happens and how glutathione basically turns these things out here into self-healing protective shields, like in a video game. You got your armor on, you got your superhero, and the guy's photon, the laser comes in and puts a chink in your armor, and all of a sudden your armor is healing. This is what happens with these structures out here because of glutathione. Our eyes are constantly subjected to oxidative stress from daily exposure to sunlight and environmental insults and toxins. I mentioned earlier, 88,000 chemicals out there, dust, pesticides, exhaust, all of those things affect us. This diagram was actually taken from the study that I'm going to show you, where they show the different types of UV light and where it gets absorbed. Look at this, UVC gets absorbed in this outer layer. UVB gets absorbed mostly by the lens. UVA, tiny amounts, it mostly gets absorbed in the lens. Very tiny amount gets back in to affect the retina. So you got the tear film on the out, you got the sclera, you got the cornea, you got the aqueous humor here, and you have your lens. And all of those are designed to absorb and protect you from sunlight. I'm not going to click on this link, but because I have this open in another page, and I don't know if it will allow me to, so I'm going to stop the share here and share this other page with this. Oops, I got to share. Sorry about that. And I'm going to need to make sure that is on top. Here we go. All right. Here's this study. Antioxidant defenses in the ocular surface. Check this out. The human eye is subjected constantly to oxidative stress due to daily exposure to sunlight, high metabolic activities, oxygen tension. Reactive oxygen species generated from environmental insults and pathological conditions render the human eye particularly vulnerable to oxidative stress. So they go through and they talk about some of the things I already talked about. I'm going to skip down here. And it talks about reactive oxygen species, meaning, what are those? Those are electron stealers. All of those things steal electrons from those tissues. And I'm not going to read all this. Formation of reactive oxygen species, all of that stuff. And these are the chemical ways they do it. Not going to go about that, but I am going to show you the screen of the chart, because this is what it's all about in my presentation. Look at this. Antioxidants present in the ocular surface, in the tear film. Notice each layer, what is the common denominator? Glutathione. Enzyme, SOD. Guess what gets elevated by the AON patch? SOD, superoxide dismutases. But look at glutathione. Glutathione in the cornea, check it out. Aqueous humor, glutathione. All of those things, or all of those layers have glutathione as the main player to for antioxidant activity. All right, let's get back to my presentation here. Okay. After all, I mean, you see this guy, you see this representation of a form right here. It says the future of medicine is frequencies. What are our bodies made of? We are frequencies. Look down here, it says there's no organ system in the body that's not affected by sound, music, and vibration. Truly, you could just say vibration. Everything is a vibration. Why am I bringing that up right now? Because I want to shift a little bit and talk about these patches. Humans glow. We just can't see it. How do the patches work? You see these human forms that some Japanese scientists figured out in 2009 or determined that we glow. Well, what is that glow? Where does that come from? Well, we have these processes and these reactions taking place inside of our body, and they give off photons of light. They produce heat. What is heat? Heat is far infrared and near infrared. What are those? They're just different frequencies on the light spectrum. When you touch someone, the reason they're warm is because of these photons that we are emitting. If you're just sitting there by yourself, they're going out into your surrounding around you. When you hug someone, you exchange some of those photons. That's why it feels so good to hug. It's one of those things. We're in each other's electric field, and we're giving off photons of light. David Schmidt figured this out, and that is how to use the human body of a power source to create patches that then act as photobiomodulation with energy you are already making that goes out into the environment. So what did he do? Each patch has a different substance in it, combination of substances. It's proprietary information, but it's a very varying amounts and recipes, so to speak, of amino acids, salts, sugars, stabilized oxygen. So what did he do? He figured out how to make a new type of crystal structure that each one forms a different, what's called crystal lattice structure. Let me just explain that a little bit. Crystal lattice is, quartz crystals have a certain shape. They have a certain structure. all different crystals are different shapes and colors and structures because of the lattice structure. Sodium chloride, if you crush it, it always breaks into perfect squares. Everything has a crystal lattice structure. David figured out how to combine different things to selectively reflect back into the body certain frequencies of light and energy we're already producing so as to turn on different pathways. The glutathione patch is like turning the switch on your glutathione factory. Instead of taking a supplement, which is, subject to degradation in the acid of the stomach, and, maybe you don't absorb it well, you got leaky gut, you got something. As opposed to that, just signal the body to make more. That's why it's important to eat a lot of sulfur-rich food. But David Schmidt's the guy who figured that out. That's how they work. So, how long will you be using the glutathione patch in your life? How long will you be using the rest of the patches? I recommend to you that you get with the person who invited you to this webinar, this podcast, this recorded message that you're watching at some point in the future, and find out all about the other patches. We talked about the glutathione patch today. We actually have a patch that, in this exact same way, but a different frequency, elevates your stem cell production. That's a whole different discussion that we've had and we'll have many, many times. So the glutathione patch is not just a protective shield for your eye. That's just what we talked about today. It's a protective shield that turns your body into a self-healing shield. It turns your immune system into the powerhouse that it was truly meant to be, so that it can keep up with all of the stressors. When you get a bacterial infection, man, you got to ramp stuff up. Remember what I said, that immune system doesn't collapse if and until it cannot keep up with the oxidative stress it's being subjected to and presented with. So what will cause that? Well, what will cause it is you can't replace the electrons fast enough with all of the oxidative stress that's occurring in your body by the increase of that bacteria, that virus, that pollution, that chemical exposure, whatever it is. So glutathione is just that, your full body protective shield. Listen, we always have fun, and we enjoy helping you understand these patches better. We try to bring something unique and different to these Science and Doctor Call. Make sure you get all your friends on them in the future. And this recording will be on the Telegram app. You'll be able to go there and share it with your people, either people who don't know about the glutathione patch yet, or people who just want to get more education about it. Thanks a lot for joining in today. We'll see everybody the 4th Saturday of the month, 10 o'clock Pacific, 11 Mountain, 12 Central, 1 o'clock Eastern, and keep patching on. We'll talk to you next time.
Bye, everybody.